Howdy, I'm back. So to celebrate, let's look at a guy a lot of you have been requesting, Hulk Hogan. It's tempting to share my Hulk Hogan impression with you guys, but I won't indulge in that cliche. See? Not gonna do it. So, let's go on to the video. Alright, so Terry Bollea, better known as the Immortal Hulk Hogan, brother. It's funny, because I said I wasn't gonna do it. Alright, anyways. Hulk Hogan didn't actually start getting into wrestling until he was 16. One wrestler he admired the most during his early years was Dusty Rhodes, but it was superstar Billy Graham that Hulk Hogan took the most influence from. Really? I couldn't tell. Interestingly though, Hogan would find his way into wrestling through music. When he was in his early 20s, Hogan played bass guitar for the band Ruckus in Tampa, Florida. Jack and Gerald Briscoe, who wrestled as the Briscoe brothers, were in attendance at one of Hogan's concerts. They were impressed by Hogan's physical stature and suggested he get into wrestling. And in 1976, Hulk Hogan did just that and was trained by Hiro Matsuda. He trained for over a year, and in 1977, wrestled his first match. Hulk Hogan would go on to wrestle all across the United States, which included working in the NWA. In 1979, Terry Funk introduced Hogan to Vince McMahon Sr., the father of the Vince McMahon we all know and love today. McMahon was impressed with Hogan's look, and was actually the one that came up with the surname Hogan. Hogan was already using the name Hulk, but McMahon wanted him to have an Irish name, so that's when the name Hogan started being used. Anyways, in November of 1979, Hulk Hogan would have his debut match in the WWE. Hogan's first time in a WWE ring was on a show called Championship Wrestling, and was actually the WWE's first show to be nationally broadcast. Hogan's opponent was already in the ring, Harry Valdez, who basically was just a local competitor. Hulk Hogan was accompanied by Freddie Blassie, and didn't get much of an entrance either, and didn't even have any music. But this was the 70s, and wrestling was much different back then. Hulk Hogan also looked a bit different. He wore long blue tights with red knee pads and boots. Once the bell rang, Hogan hulked over his opponent, pun very much intended, and started the match off by displaying his strength by shoving Valdez down a couple of times. Valdez did manage to secure a headlock, but Hogan was able to lift the man off his feet and toss him across the ring. Hulk Hogan then got a bit more serious, hitting Valdez with a knee and two powerful slams onto the ring. He then followed up with a leg drop, a move that would become a trademark of Hogan. The rest of the match was more of the same. Hogan slammed a lifeless body into the turnbuckles and continued to hit him with some strikes and a number of strong moves. Hogan ended the match via submission, and the ref called for the bell. Hulk Hogan continued to hold Valdez after the bell rang, submitting himself as a heel or villain. So, Hogan won his first match in the WWE in under 3 minutes. It's interesting to see that even in the 70s, debuting wrestlers had basically the same kind of match we see today. Nothing special here, but it's interesting just for the fact that Hulk Hogan would go on to become one of the biggest stars in wrestling. Hogan actually didn't stay in the WWE for too long, as in 1980 he would leave for New Japan Pro Wrestling and later started working in the AWA. Hogan returned to the WWE about 3 years later, in December of 1983, and this time was a babyface or hero. Got the WWE from his father by this time, and decided to make Hogan the face of his company as he moved forward on taking the WWE nationwide. To solidify Hulk Hogan as the top star, he won the World Heavyweight Championship in about a month after making his return, in January of 1984, which he would go on to win another 5 times. Hulk Hogan continued to become a bigger and bigger star throughout the 80s and had a number of classic rivalries and matches. But in the 90s, Hulk Hogan's popularity began to die down, and even when he made the jump from WWE to WCW in 1994, the level of star power he had in the 80s just wasn't there. However, that all changed in 1996 when he joined with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and formed the New World Order. And this brought in a whole new side of Hogan. Gone was the red and yellow, and in was the black and white. The NWO was a huge success for WCW and really changed the game. It allowed them to overtake WWE in TV ratings for a good amount of time. But, like before, the popularity of the new Hollywood Hulk Hogan didn't last forever, and Hogan's run in WCW came to an end in 2000. But about 2 years later, Hulk Hogan made his return to the WWE at the No Way Out pay-per-view in February of 2002, retaining his Hollywood Hogan character. Hogan didn't stay in WWE for too long, as in 2003 he quit the company due to creative frustrations. He wasn't gone forever, as in 2005, Hogan was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and this led to a feud with Shawn Michaels, which ultimately evolved into their infamous match at SummerSlam 2005. Make a few more appearances, but on July 15, 2006, Randy Orton would respectfully challenge Hogan to a match at SummerSlam. Hogan accepted, but later in the night, Orton would attack the Hulkster in a parking lot. So much for that respect. Anyways, this is where we find Hogan's last match in WWE. It was August 20th, 2006, and the match was billed as Legend vs. Legend Killer. Hogan was dressed in his traditional yellow and red Hulkamania attire. The crowd was very pro-Hogan, not only during his entrance, but throughout the entire match. This is weird, but the match started the same way Hogan's first match in the WWE did, with him shoving his opponent across the ring. Randy Orton would use a couple of headlocks to wear Hogan down, but the Hulkster always found a way to break out of them. Finally, Orton got the upper hand by using a classic heel tactic. Orton didn't do much though, just hitting Hogan with some kicks and punches. This allowed Hogan to, once again, regain control over Randy Orton, and something odd happened. Good guy, Hulk Hogan, actually bit Orton in the head and then proceeded to poke Orton in the eye. This was of course kayfabe, or part of the story, so I'm guessing the reason Hogan indulged in some dirty tactics like this was because Orton had been flirting with his daughter in the lead-up to the match. This isn't likely at all, but it's kind of a callback to his first WWE match, where Hogan was wrestling as a heel. Jim Ross on commentary even references this.
The fans, longtime fans, saw Hogan in his early days in Madison Square Garden, in the early days of the AWA. They remember a Hogan that would not adhere to the rules.
These heelish attacks on Orton continued for a bit, and at one point, Hogan even scared the referee out of the ring. Randy Orton got the advantage on Hogan after attacking Hogan's left knee, which had a torn meniscus. Orton would continue to work on Hogan's knee, but missed a crossbody from the top rope, which allowed Hogan to get some punches in, until Orton dodged the signature big boot and countered with a dropkick. Orton then hit the RKO and went for the pin. Unfortunately for Randy, Hogan's foot was on the rope, so the match continued. This led to the finish, where Hulk Hogan, in classic fashion, hulked up and ran wild. Hogan hit Randy Orton with a few strikes, a big boot, and a leg drop, which got him the pinfall and victory. This match wasn't anything special. Hogan got the majority of the offense in, so it never felt like there was any struggle. Honestly, the thing that was most interesting for me was the heel tactics Hogan used. As a final match, it didn't feel grand or epic, it just kind of felt like another Hulk Hogan match. And maybe that's what everyone wanted. The crowd certainly ate it up. But for me, I would like something more. Not terrible, I do like seeing a wrestler win in their final match, so it has that. Anyways, Hogan took a break from the WWE for a while, but he was still active in the wrestling world, appearing at other shows and even doing a tour in Australia. In 2009, he would sign with TNA, and it's debatable whether or not that was a good thing. He left the company in 2013 and made his return to the WWE in 2014, working in a non-wrestling role. Of course, in mid-2015, Hogan would be terminated from the company due to racist remarks he made which were leaked online, and he's since been less active. However, Hulk Hogan may be returning to the WWE. Recently, news has been surfacing that there are plans to bring Hogan back into the company. Hulk Hogan was also recently inducted into the Boys and Girls Club Alumni Hall of Fame, so that makes it even more likely. We'll have to wait and see what happens, and maybe by the time you're watching this video, Hogan's already made his return on Raw. And for leaving the request and watching this video. And if you want more, take a look at the last episode we did on Paige's first and last matches. So with that, I'm Zach from Tap Out Corner, and that was Bell to Bell.